once told that you don't say good luck, you just say good bowling.
Now, see, do you think Dennis Rodman would shake hands if he were?
Well, the boxers
Good
come
question.
out and
That's right,
shake
they do.
hands,
Sure.
right? Or hit fists.
Oh my, and in the opening round here in game number 2, a big right hand. And Anne-Marie is staring at the big 4.
Not getting out of the ball very well at all, turning it early. She looked down at her hand. When that happens, you also let up on your ball speed, and the ball is unable to hold the line.
Anne-Marie with 8 out to open up game number 2. Sandra Jo Shiery will not cross many boards, but she will hit the pocket.
Sandra Jo playing right between the first and second arrow on the 8th board. Like you mentioned, very direct. Sandra Jo making her big move once match play started.
Comes out, bumps the 5 into the 7, and she'll take the light hit in frame number 1.
The light hits really carried very well all week. Here you can see the 5-pin not exactly being blown out of the building, but enough to take out the 7.
Hard to believe that 7 went down. The wind must have gotten. She'll take the strike nevertheless. What if the left-hand lane is hooking just a fraction more than the right? I don't know. 6-7 is left by Sandra Jo Shiery.
Well, I'd have to say she let up also on her speed there, Denny. But I have to tell you, the players really did have some nice hold area throughout the week, and it appears the back ends here are moving a little bit more. So if you're used to having that hold for 56 games, and all of a sudden you don't quite have as much of it, that shot probably would have struck earlier in the week.
Or maybe you leave just the 4-pin.
Possibly, yes.
Anne-Marie will try and come back from the disaster in the first. Jeannie Maiden is qualified number 2. Lee Ann Barrett just absolutely ran away and hid from the rest of the field. She is our top seed this week in the United States Open, sponsored by the Bowling Proprietors Association of America. There's a much better shot for Anne-Marie on lane 52.
I asked Anne-Marie if she was able to go all the way through the field and win the $16,500, what she would do with it. And she told me, well, they had some vacation plans. They wanted to fly her stepchildren out and take a nice vacation through the West Coast in their motorhome up through Montana. And it sounded like a lot of fun for the summer, since we are off majority of the summer.
You're going to bowl the doubles, right?
Yes,
Paula Drake,
Paula Drake and myself will be once again bowling in Las Vegas. Samstown. Meanwhile, Anne-Marie re-racking. You are allowed 2 re-racks.
And should have re-racked again. Perfect shot there. Left the solid 10-pin. Good shot there. That would have been a double.
Perfect. Right now she just needs to stay under control. Her father, very difficult to be a spectator in this situation. Anne-Marie missed the 10-pin last time on lane 51. The ball sliding off into the channel. Let's see how she makes the adjustment.
When you shop in the Acme app, you can count on prices that are the same online as they are in store.
A little more direct this time. Stayed and watched to make sure, and then smiled on the way back. Said, all right, I've got it. No problem the rest of the way.
Well, I think she really did feel she had picked it up last time, so the smile there was worthwhile.
An even match in the early stages of game number 2. The final stop on the LPBT Spring Tour here in Fountain Valley, California. Good speed, nice hold. This time a better shot on the right-hand lane for Sandra Jo, but once again the 10-pin stands.
Sandra Jo winning earlier this year in Athens. Also has 2 4th-place finishes, one in Ashland, Kentucky, and one in Winter Park, Florida. And she finished 5th in Adelphi, Maryland. So she has really had a very, very consistent year.
Type of player, Leila, that once she gets locked into a certain type of a shot or a condition, that's going to go out and pretty much do what she has to do to get to the final 5. And Of course, what established her in the LPBT record books was the fact that she won as an amateur, the first ever amateur to win a Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour event.
But Denny, she doesn't seem to get into trouble much. Like you mentioned, if she comes in and has her condition, she is very well in that track area, anywhere from about the 7th board to the 12th, 13th board. Very direct, straight up the boards.
Into the swing early. Adjustment was made on the left-hand lane and a strike for Sandra Jo Shiery. So it's an even match at this stage. Sandra Jo and Anne-Marie Duggan battling it out in game number 2 here at the United States Open. Huntington Beach, one of the most famous surfing beaches in the state of California. And our producer George Smith right there hanging 10 in Southern California. Anne-Marie's mom watching intently at this point. Rightfully so. It's a close match.
Well, it's a big thrill for the parents to be able to be here for such a prestigious event as the U.S. Open. I know my family was able to come in and watch and root me on, and you can't imagine having your family members here.
Plenty of room. Nice hold shot. Anne-Marie with a strike. And the fourth, and see, Mom says, all right, Anne-Marie, now you got the right-hand lane. Let's figure out the left-hand lane. Well, you had a chance to win an Open, what, back in 1985?
That's right. Pat Mercantani beat me, and I finished 5th or 4th. I don't even remember. I think she went on to win the tournament.
That was in where? Topeka, Kansas?
The first year that we did bowl in Topeka, we bowled back-to-back. Wendy McPherson won it the very next year.
Anne-Marie looking for another strike. Good speed. Boy, beautiful double for Anne-Marie, who now grabs a 10-pin lead.
Right here, bowler track. The ball at 15 feet, traveling 16.7 miles per hour, hitting right around the 8th board. She's been very consistent. Once again, at 55 feet, the ball's at the 13th board. Her ball has not dropped much speed that time.
And Sandra Jo comes right back. Of course, we would be remiss right now if we didn't thank Brian Collins of Brunswick and also the good folks for providing Brunswick Bowler Track all season long here on ESPN.
Sandra Jo, very basic 4-step approach, not a lot of backswing, actually plants 2 feet in front of the foul line. And our gift from Brian Collins, Sandra Jo's ball, 16.6 miles per hour, right along the same line except the direction of the ball. Sandra Jo throwing from right to left, Anne-Marie going actually from left to right.
Well, the real solid players in the championship round normally answer a double with one of their own. That's exactly what Sandra Jo has done. She has 3 in a row and now leads by 10. We've got ourselves a pretty good match here in game number 2.
Well, I think the lane conditioner, Denny, is going to start carrying down the lane. We were on short oil this week. When we see it carry down, it also allows the balls to hold a little bit better. Perfect shot by Anne-Marie.
Both players heating up. Match is even just past the halfway point. The winner of this game gets the good fortune of taking on Jeannie Maiden, and whoever wins the semifinal will then do battle with our top seed, Leanne Barrett of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Interesting, after the first round, Anne-Marie was tied for 52nd place with Leanne Barrett. So when you have so many games in a tournament, you can't let that get you down. They were actually 15 pins over a 200 average, so they weren't bowling bad, just the rest of the field were outscoring them.
Pat looks on. Another strike for Anne-Marie, who now leads by 10. No visit to California is complete without a visit to Disneyland. The #1 tourist attraction is only 10 minutes from the Fountain Bowl, and there's Mr. and Mrs. Mouse. You know, they bowl in a doubles league here at Fountain Bowl. You know, it's a disadvantage to shoot 56 games in national format, but it's an advantage, I think, to the better players because it gives them that many more games to come from behind. Look at that. All those players, with the exception of Jeannie, started pretty far down the ladder.
A lot of time to excel. Really, the cream rises to the top, as we've definitely seen here this week.
And a good shot, but a solid 4 left by Sandra Jo, so the string ends at 3 for her, and Anne-Marie continues to lead.
4 pins really tripping out pretty well here this week, Denny, but that ball coming up a little bit too high into the pocket.
An 11-pin advantage now for Anne-Marie Duggan.
Sandra Jo coming from a very large bowling family. Everybody in her family bowls. Mom, dad, 2 brothers and a sister. Her father owned a bowling center, and it gave her a lot of time to practice.
Sandra Jo started kegling at the age of 4.
Is that all?
How old were you?
11. I started
11?
a little bit later.
Late
I
starter.
guess.
11.
Look at the scoreboard there. Anne-Marie possible 258 game. Sandra Jo 237 pace if she were to strike out.
Needs a strike to stay in the match, and she does in the 8th frame. Well, for Anne-Marie Duggan, I would think that now is the time for her to step up and finish Sandra Jo off a little bit early.
Right now, if Anne-Marie gets these 2 key shots in the 8th and 9th frame, she could definitely put all the pressure onto Sandra Jo.
Plenty of room. Light hit, and it carries, as the 7-pin was the last to leave.
It almost appeared that that ball was going to make a break back, Denny, but she really set that ball a little bit farther inside. It slid down the lane a little bit too far. Well, you can see there she's at the 8th board at 15 feet. Well, it appeared from our angle that she was farther inside.
An aggressive shot nonetheless, trusting it to the right. This strike puts her in a position where she will be in control of her own destiny, regardless of what Sandra Jo does. Anne-Marie's going to get a chance to win in the 10th frame. Takes a look at the board, realizes, as Leila said, 258 is the optimum score. Sandra Jo could still shoot 237, which would at least make Anne-Marie show up for the 10th frame.
And really a sore thumb. You can see there, a lot of games have taken their toll on this lady's hand.
Key shot for Sandra Jo Shiery, who comes back and continues to strike. If she has any hope whatsoever of advancing into the semifinal game, she better continue to throw X's all the way through the 10th.
Well, if she does strike out, Denny, she would force Anne-Marie to at least spare in the 10th.
Well, when you take a look at the 7th frame for Sandra Jo, if she carries the 4-pin there, boy, what a different match we have going into the 10th frame.
Dead even.
Whew. Just that one little shot once in a while makes the difference. Stay in the pocket. Yeah, there's the 4-pin that we needed so desperately in the 7th.
Even farther inside, that ball setting up into the pocket, and that 7-pin just tripped out that 4.
Well, when you shoot a game of 237, you're supposed to win in the championship round.
Well, usually you do. A tough break for Sandra Jo running into Anne-Marie at this point in time. But one more, she'll force her to at least mark.
Well, that one hooked early and set up nicely.
Great execution, good ball speed. The ball held line nicely.
237, the best possible score for Sandra Jo, who left the 6-7 in the 2nd frame, and that was her only open frame here in game number 2.
Right now, pin count, very important.
Oh, got
8 pins and 235.
Linda Thomas, our statistician, and Jan Schmidt out in the truck, figuring rapidly to give us the exact pin count that Anne-Marie needs.
She needs a mark of some type to advance into the semifinal.
A lot of pressure right here.
Good shot, good speed, and for the 2nd consecutive match, Anne-Marie puts away her opponent with a solid strike on lane 52.
Really appears Anne-Marie has a great shot, Denny. She's able to send the ball to the right. It's coming back strong. She's carrying the light hits. That ball, the ball stayed a little bit tighter on line. The lane conditioner carrying down. You can see it holding line. And this is her reaction. She'll show us a little bit here.
A little focus and concentration in those eyes. This one high doesn't make any difference as the 9-pin remains. Anne-Marie Duggan with a game in the 240s. Yeah, the pace has picked up a little bit here in game number 2.
Well, usually with that one game underneath your belt, now Denny Anne-Marie feeling very confident, very comfortable on this pair of lanes. You've got Jeannie Maiden coming out very cold.
Sandra Joe showed little, if any, emotion with any of the strikes, any of the opens, and with the fact that she finished fourth. That's her game face.